And we are live. Good morning, everybody. It's your favorite truck driver in the whole wide world, ex-truck driver in the whole wide world. It's Bitcoin Ben. Oh, look, Bitcoin Ben's going live. It is Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. And I am live, obviously, from El Salvador. Now, the reason that I and a group of my close friends are here in El Salvador is that we have an event here. We have a Links event. Now, what the Links group is it's an event that the Links, which is a company that I'm involved with, we host once a month for investors, projects, more high-end investors. It's smaller. It's only about, we try and keep it around 40 people. It's more one-on-one. Actually, that way the investors can actually meet and greet the projects, and the investors are usually looking at putting in at least 100,000 up to several $1 million. So it's a smaller group. But we're here in El Salvador, actually doing the event and also meeting with some projects that are coming on the Founders Group platform from here in El Salvador. Now, for those of you not aware, woke up this morning to the news that all flights in America are grounded. The FAA's computers be down, folks. How interesting is that? Think about that. Let's let our mind swirl around that a bit. Let's think of the FAA, all right? And let's think that the FAA's computer system is down. Do you think that someone accidentally unplugged a computer from the wall? Do you think that maybe someone needs to reboot one router? Do you think the FAA runs on a server in Hillary Clinton's restroom? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that the FAA computer system has overlaying security on it. I'm pretty sure that the FAA is intertwined with the military satellite systems. I'm pretty sure the FAA isn't running on something that resembles an iPhone app. So what would need to happen for the FAA's system to shut down? It would almost have to be shut down on purpose. It would have to be a multi-system shutdown, because I know that the FAA system is overlapping. So there isn't just one FAA system. They have multiple layers of systems. They're like a system on top of a system on top of a system. And then there's a whole nother system that is a replication of that system running on a military server or a group of servers. And I'm not really buying the whole oops, we accidentally blew a fuse and the system went down. This, and I've told you guys, and I don't know how else I can reiterate this. The American public and the American people have no idea the war that is going on behind the scenes between the military, the FAA, because remember, the FAA is a government agency. The FAA is the flight system, just like the EPA is the system for natural resources management. And these systems are starting to fail or be brought down. And the reason they're being brought down is so that the American people are put into an environment of uncertainty. They need the American people to not be comfortable in America. See, let's think about this, all right? In the 80s, in the 90s, in the 70s, well, not so much the 70s, but 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. Anybody ever remember it being this unreliable in America? Where St. Louis has a shortage of lettuce, where we have inflation at this level, that we have systems dropping like flies, that travel is extremely unpredictable, that employment is extremely tight. No. But do you know why? See, this is the Great Reset. Remember that. Always keep that in your head, that this is the Great Reset in their eyes. And in reality, see, they have kicked the can of truth so long that it is now the size of an oil tanker. They cannot kick it anymore and move it. The matrix is falling apart because the matrix is actually built on lies. These lies are accumulating and little holes are popping through the wall of the matrix. And it is springing little drips and sprays of truth. And we've reached a point now where the other side of the wall, the reality side, is actually kind of filling up with water. And the American people are starting to realize it. See, this is all on purpose, once again, because they know the system's collapsing. They know that the matrix is collapsing because now the matrix has an enemy. The enemy is knowledge. The enemy is the truth movement. Because people understand truth when they hear it. That's where the whole, oh, that rings true saying comes from. When you hear truth, you feel it. When you hear a lie, you feel it. Because words have frequencies, especially when it isn't print, when it's someone telling you the words. It's why when someone tells you a lie and they're not used to lying, you tell them you're a horrible liar because their voice changes, the frequency changes, and you living your life, you have gained the ability to hear bullshit. So as soon as it hits your ear, you're like, yeah, that don't sound right. That doesn't ring true. when someone's truthful, it has a certain frequency to it that is smooth and natural. That's where the old term smooth talker came from. Because liars' words are sharp because they usually use emotion when they lie. They'll add adjectives. They'll add, like, today in a horrible and deadly and intense crash on Highway 70. Well, all of those adjectives are used to give you an emotional response to what they're saying. And where if someone let's think of it like this, all right? You and this is a bad example, but go with me. You'll get it at the end. You and your wife are in an accident, and it's a bad one. You're at the hospital. You're relatively okay. The doctor comes in to talk to you about your wife. Does the doctor say, well, in a horrible course of events that was bloody and gory and just amazing, temperature of the fire, your wife died? No. The doctor doesn't want to add any emotion to the truth that he or she is about to tell you. That's what I'm talking about. People who are bringing you truthfully bad news, they don't want to embellish it. It's already bad. They don't want you in a more hypersensitive, hyper emotional state than what they're already going to put you in. So when you watch the news and they use these horribly graphic words, horribly graphic videos, when they use graphics and really strong adjectives, the goal is the emotional response, not giving you the information. It's why watching a movie gives you an emotional response, because you're watching, you're watching a plane crash in a movie. Why don't they just show like the plane heading down? Why do they show a wing ripping off, a hole blowing in the side, someone being sucked out of the side, when they could easily explain that the plane's going down without the graphics, but they don't because they want you to emotionally respond. Because emotion overrides logic. It does. The reason it does is because we're humans, right? And it's in us that in the old days when we would hunt, or if we were at war or whatever, if we're in a dangerous situation and we're already on heightened alert, you're going through an environment and you're logically trying to figure out the reality of your environment. Your emotions are there so that you react quickly. Emotions are triggers that trigger chemicals in your body that make you move quicker. Adrenaline, that make you react in a certain way. And what happens when your emotions are triggered is these chemicals from your brain shoot into your bloodstream. And just like when you shoot up heroin or you do some type of drug, it alters your ability to be logical. And that's what they rely on in order to keep you off kilter. And for the next year, we're going to have episode after episode after episode after episode of uncertainty, so that the average American doesn't have any predictability in their lives, where you can't even plan a flight because you're like, well, what happens if the FAA goes down again? What happens if Southwest, goes down again? Where there's so much on what happens if I go to the store and there's no lettuce? What happens if I go to the store and there's no dog food that we usually use? They are doing this all so that we cannot have a predictable and plannable life. See, the reason that they want to do this is that's how life is in a third world country. You can't plan anything in a third world country because it's unpredictable. They need you to say to yourself, we gotta save the system. Everything is so chaotic. We gotta save the system. This is the system, right? This is the slavery system showing you, well, look how much you need us. Look how much you need us. When in reality, we don't. We don't need an FAA system. Did you know that? No. We don't need the FAA system. All the planes work. All the pilots still know how to fly. All of the planes have fuel. They just can't get the authorization to fly. That's the difference. The equivalent is, oh, you don't have a license plate on your car. Well, you can't drive nowhere today. Why not? Well, you don't have a license plate. Well, yeah, but my car runs fine without a license plate. Well, yeah, but you're not legal. You're not part of the system. Yeah, well, I'm okay with that because my car still starts. Well, I mean, you can't just be driving around, without a license plate. Yeah, I can. See, it's also if you want to go more personal, it's also like an abusive partner. You can't live without me. What would your life be without me? Well, they tell you all the horrible things that your life would be without them until you kick their ass to the curb. And then all of a sudden you're like, huh, this ain't too damn bad. I think I'm going to go have a drink. Or I think I'm going to go on vacation. See, those who suppress need the suppressed person to believe that they're needed. We don't need the IRS. When was the last time you called the IRS and said, oh, thank God you answered? Never. When have you ever called any government agency and said, oh, thank God you're there? Never. Unless you are reliant on that government agency for money, food stamps, health care. My friends, oh, what time is it? All right, I'm jumping over to Patreon because YouTube, folks, YouTube's getting crazy. I'm going to continue this conversation and I'm going to introduce you to the Committee of Un-American Acts from 1960. I'm going to show you guys exactly how history is repeating itself. You're going to see Antifa. You're going to see the Anti-Fascist League. You're going to see all of this on the show on Patreon today. All right, click the link under here. Join me on Patreon. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Love you guys. And don't be afraid the system's going away. Life is better without it. Love you guys. See you on Patreon. Go there now.